Today's plan is to trim this out, this black chunk out, just a skosh more, use a little bit more of the original. Get it kind of tacked back in this position, and then we'll fit the skin on there and see how it comes together here. You know, I can barely fit my fingers in here. I think the other one, they had wadded it up to make room. We might have to trim off a good 1/4 inch anyway. So let's get started on that. First thing we'll do is pop these back off. So you can see I can trim off half of that anyway. And that'd bring it to about right here. And then when we weld up the edge, that strip there would fall off. Okay, I trimmed off that much. You see over there? Kind of. Now we're going to quick measure .23 1/4 right now. We need to tap it up. Point is, at this point, needs to go up quite a bit. 22 3/4. I'll get it into position and then mark it, and then I'll prep the edges for welding. Tack it, then we'll do the fit the skin. Okay, I think we're in position. Kind of 22 3/4 at the rear wheel, 23 1/2 in the center, and 23 1/4 in the front. So we'll mark it there. And then we'll grind that off. Prep the edges and put a couple tacks. Can't get in here very well. I'll have to use a die grinder. Clean that up. I got a hole here I gotta fix, but you'll see. I'm gonna trim off this gauche, but I'm sure it's gotta go somewhere around in there. Need to remark it. Oh, I didn't do that right. That's perfect. That sits. That sits good. So now we'll just put a couple tacks here to keep it from falling down. But when I cleaned it off, before that I trimmed a skosh more off of here. So I'm going to clean this up and then we'll put a couple tacks in there. Something ain't right. I need to be down somewhere in there. That measure now. A little low, but 23 1/4. Yep, that looks good. Problem is right down in here, I'm gonna have to do some piecing. Anyway. Clean that up. Remark it for the heck of it. Okay, so I got it started, and to me it's a little slow. I'm positioning this, where are you? Such that these body lines are as best as possible. That's looking brand new, and there's an even Even gap around there, kind of, sort of. That moves. I'm judging this gap, this from here to out here. And that, of course. And then, same with this side. Pretty close. You can go up just a teeny bit, but that'll make it even. So the problem is there's a bit of a gap between here and the fender. I'm going to try to stuff you in there, and maybe with a light. I can't get a light in there, but let's start by trying to waller you in there. We should maybe be able to see some gap up in here. I cannot even. So up in, along in here, see that gap? That goes pretty much around the whole thing. So it should probably come down that much more. So let's do that. Oh, had to drop, yeah. Okay, you can see where it was. I marked it. And dropped it down that much. This is where it was tacked before. So I'll just do it in the same spot. That should take up that little bit of gap. So let's get her done. Got up here on the top shelf. It's better, but I still feel a little more gap than I like. I think we can squeeze it together though enough. Little bitty taparoo here and there on that lip, both ways. Bring it into submission. That lined up. We got this pretty well lined up. I'm happy with that. I'll have to take the wheel off, of course, to get that welded up. That'll even be a while. Good news though, if it's a little bit lower, this is quite a bit better. Especially down in here. All right, well, let me regroup here. Contemplate next steps. Little update. I took it back off and lowered it just a little bit. And now it's like perfect. There's a little bit over here, but that's, you're not going to get any better than that. Stuff like this. So this is still nice. This looks really good. Still have this. But let me see if I can get you to see any gaposes. Oh, what the heck? Anyway, maybe you can see just a teeny bit of overlap right here. How close that is. Anyway, turned out pretty good so far. I got to cutting to make this patch. And I thought, well, I'm not recording. So this section here is for this thin piece, and then this whole section here is for to be enough to go from here and wrap all the way around. More than enough, but see if I can do this one-handed. So this is, I'm using this to reproduce it over here, but it's quite more, quite way more sharper. Makes sense? So I'm not sure. I think it's just bent up a little bit. Fits there. Just barely caught that. I would trim off here and then put this in there, roll it under and trim it. Let me work on that. Progress. Whoa. So that should butt weld pretty good. And I still have something to figure out here. And then we gotta so there's things to do yet. As usual. But I think I got a good start on these patches. Basically, I just need to pour 15 all of this and tack weld it in, and then figure out what I'm going to do about this lip here going down here, and then it'll cut off. I'll cut it off right here, right along this edge, and weld that edge. I'm not sure if that's, I'll probably have to put a piece in there. And then slather the Bondo on. All right, so I guess that's probably good enough for today.